Go.
All right, I'm Jerry Williford. I'm here to talk about my case presentation for nursing 5830, I believe it is. I was supposed to be done this last night, but I thought it was tonight, so I'm a day late. Sorry and apologize for that. This is a patient of Mr. Singh over at the VA Medical Center. His name is Mr. JC. He's an 81-year-old that lives at home. He's been followed by her for about 8 years. He's retired from the Air Force. He moved to rural Webster Parish 40 years ago with the Air Force, retired after 10 years, and him and his wife have lived out there. She died about 5 years ago, so right now he stays. This is demographic data and the biographical data. So he just kind of stayed out there after she died and doesn't have any family, never had any children. Has one brother out in California that doesn't see very much. Parents are dead. So he had an old Air Force buddy that got on hard times, so he's moved him in as a roommate, and they kind of support each other, different things. He is financially secure, works around a little church around there out there in the rural area. Subjective data today, chief complaint is my blood sugars are still high. HPI on his last visit, A1C was 7.6. He's been steady on metformin for 4 or 5 years, and on 500 milligrams and BID. And since he was high, they decided to go up to 1,000 milligrams and bring him back in 30 days, see how his blood sugars are doing. He's been monitoring blood sugars at home with the urine glucose strips, and but they sent him on with an AccuCheck machine just to get a better idea of what his sugars are running. And so that's what he's here for today. His machine has been running 105 to 164, 168 when we reviewed the machine today, and his blood sugar this morning was 105 here in the clinic. He says he's still running high. He thinks 168 is pretty high. Average, 30-day average since he's been here is 124. Pre-medical history is diabetes, hypertension, and hyperlipidemia. And he's on Norvasc, and metformin has refused so far to take anything for his lipids. He has no known allergies. Family history, his parents, his mother died at 86, his daddy died at 92. They both, to him, died of old age. He doesn't recall any specific problems, strokes, heart attacks, or anything that they had of. He just kind of went down and just died. He does think they might have had blood pressure problems, but no diabetes. One young brother in California has high blood pressure. He doesn't know much else about it. He doesn't talk to him very often. Social history, he denies smoking or drinking, and he smoked for about a year or two when he was first in the service, never did drink, never did any drugs. Feels like he's healthy, he's trying to stay active. He does some church work, maintaining the yard and different things at the rural church he lives at. Does most of his own yard work, has started hiring some people to come in and do a little house cleaning for him, and also to mow his grass, but the weed eating and things like that he likes to do himself. It was just him and his wife, and she passed away about 5 years ago, and he saw a lady for a little while, but he realized he wasn't interested in a relationship because him and his wife are so close, and he just doesn't think anybody's going to take her spot. Him and his buddy do go fishing and do a few things together. Lived in Saline for 40 years and retired at 40. Review of system, he generally 81-year-old, African-American male, no acute distress. Neuro, he's grossly intact. He denies any dizziness or syncopal episodes or any blackouts. He's feels like he's fairly, no memory losses. His eyes, he says he sees okay. He's starting having to wear some glasses. Ears, he's hearing good. He says no problem with his lungs. He says no shortness of breath, no unless he just gets really, really active. No chest pain, no palpitations that he really admits to. He said every once in a while he might have a skip beat. His bowel movements, he has a bowel movement every day. No nausea, no vomit, no diarrhea. And skin, he denies any problem with the skin. Extremities, he says he moves everything all right. Objective data, his blood pressure 118/72, heart rate 72, respiratory rate's 18, temperature 97.2, O2 sats 95% of room air. He is 69 inches tall, weighs 156 pounds. His body BMI is 23.03, and his blood sugar is 105 this morning. Generally, he's an elderly black male, appears of stated age. He moves with a slow gait, but he does move steady. No dizziness or it doesn't look like any unsteadiness with his movement. Doesn't use a cane or a walker. He does answer questions appropriately. He does tend to wander with his answers, but he always comes back to the point, so he's usually just wanting to make a point of what he's saying. Skin, hair, nails is intact, normal hair distribution, no rashes, no lesions, no breakdown. He's nails with cap repair less than 3 seconds, has no clubbing. His nails to his great toes are elongated and thickened. He does have a, when I said no breakdown, he does have a scab to his left shin. He says he bumped the bed frame about 2 or 3 days ago. It looks like it's healing well. Head, ears, eyes, nose, and throat. He holds his head erect. He's normal cephalic. His eyes has a red reflex. EOMs are intact. He's optic disc was visualized. Conjunctiva is a little bit yellow. The way they seem like do with age-related things going on. Tympanic membranes are pearly. Light reflex was elicited. Is a little bit of wax, but that's about it. Let's see, he's no drainage or anything. He hears without any problems. His uvula is midline. His mucosal membranes are moist and pink. He swallows without any difficulty, and his the rise and fall of the uvula. Gag reflex is present. Tonsils not visualized. He's neck, no lymphedema, megaly, no thyroid megaly, neck is supple, no brutes or JVD noted. He has trachea midline, heart has no visible pulsations, no gallops, rogues, or murmurs was appreciated. S1, S2 was there. He had a rare ectopic beat, not sure, seemed like a premature contraction, but for the most part, regular rhythm. Pulses are about 4 extremities. DP was present, radial pulse was present, 2+, and posterior tibial, 2+. Lungs, respiration even unlabored, cleared oscitation. I didn't hear any adventation breath sounds on that. His abdomen, he's active bowel sounds about 4. No tenderness was appreciated. No aortic bruit even noted, and no organ hepatomegaly was felt. Extremities, full range of motion, all extremity. I'm not seeing any edema to his lower extremities, no pretibial edema. His capillary refill, like I said, less than 3 seconds. And he has equal strength by 4, and his deep tendon reflexes to his biceps, triceps, and patella were all there. Neuro, calm, cooperative, quiet, oriented by 4, respond appropriately, cranial nerves intact, 2 to 12. Movements coordinated, he's a little slow, but appropriate for his age, equal strength bilaterally, and gait without shuffle, even steady. And lab data today, his finger stick, I thought it said 105, it's 112. His assessment, he's got diabetes, which is managed well so far on the metformin. He's got hypertension, Norvasc, which is under control, and he has a hyperlipidemia, which is not controlled, but he's not willing to take any medicine for that. His differential diagnosis, according to the primary care collaborative practice, is fairly straightforward. Diabetes type 1, diabetes type 2, or diabetes insipidus, only 3, and it's pretty well straightforward with polyuria and polydipsia and elevated A1C. He's 81 years old, so we're going to rule out type 1 because he's not on insulin, doesn't need to be on insulin right now. And diabetes insipidus, he's not having gross urine output, so we can pretty well stay with the diabetes 2, which he's had for the last 4 or 5 years. The plan is to monitor him on the metformin, 1,000 milligrams BID. But until we get another A1C in 3 months, just 30 days really doesn't tell us a whole lot, other than his blood sugars hasn't been over 168, and we're going to look for the A1C and see what it does in 3 months and go from there. We're going to try to teach him to take his medicine, follow 88 diet guidelines, avoid sweets and candy, to eat fruit, not fruit juices. We're going to exercise and walk daily. We're going to wear shoes or house sleeves to protect from cuts and abrasions, and we're going to inspect his feet. We do have him going to podiatry, and he has an appointment with them next week. So he'll be following them. We're also going to refer him to the diabetic RN for teaching, but he has a hard time getting up here. He's 40 miles away, and he doesn't just like to come up here just to come up here. So a lot of these times, in the past, he's proven not to be compliant with referrals to other. According to the framework application assessment, according to Newman's model, we have a 3 line of defense: the flexible, the normal and in the lines of resistance. These lines of resistance defense work to protect the client from invasion of stressors with Mr. JC. He hasn't needed anything past the primary intervention, which is the metformin and for the diabetes, because his line of resistance and normal line of defense had finally got weak enough where he couldn't maintain his blood sugars in a normal range. So the metformin has helped well, but now that he's gotten a little bit older, it seemed like something is going on that we hadn't quite put a finger on yet. And so we are going to increase the metformin. There again, he hasn't needed any tertiary or secondary intervention. Perception of data, he's here to follow his elevated A1C for his routine chronic disease management last month. He's been stable the last 4 years. I don't know why he had a change, showed an increase. He denies changes to his diet or activity over the last 6 months, and he's been doing the urine glucose monitoring for the last 3 or 4 years, and he denies getting any having any glucose in his urine. He's a wielder, retired from Air Force over 30 years ago, lived with a roommate. He's in integrity versus despair stages of Erickson's stage of development. He's coping well with his advanced age and living status. He spends time at a local church, assisting with maintenance, and also continues to maintain his home with occasional from a roommate and a paid housekeeper. Doesn't have any close family other than a brother that lives in California, and he only hears from him frequently. He and his wife didn't have any children. And his stressors, physiological stressors, intrapersonal would be hyperlipidemia, hypertension, and diabetes. And then the family history of longevity, those would be negative, and family history of longevity would be positive. Interpersonal would be active in church would be positive. No relationship would be negative, and a roommate would be positive. Extrapersonal, he's retired, that's positive, and financially stable would be positive. Psychological stressors would be interpersonal. Intrapersonal would be routine health visits. He does come to the VA regularly, that's positive, and he's active physically and mentally, and that's positive. No close family. Under interpersonal, it's negative. Healthy diet, as far as we can ascertain, that's positive. He exercises and he's active. Extrapersonal, church involvement, retired, will be positive, and no close relation would be negative. Social culture, and there again, he's in no relationship, would be negative. Church involvement would be positive. No family under interpersonal would be negative, and then active lifestyle under extrapersonal would be positive. Developmental integrity versus despair, according to Erickson, it seems like he's coping well, so we're going to give him a positive for that. And financial secure under interpersonal would be positive, and then retired and owns his own home would be positive under extrapersonal. Spiritual, he has a church family, it's positive. Active in church, acknowledgement of God is positive, and then active in church under the extrapersonal would be positive. With this clinical presentation of diabetes, the treatment we're going to be would be calling for medication. I mean, after diet, lifestyle change, everything has been. So our goal is to maintain his blood sugars and his A1C under 6, get him back at least in the 6.5 range. Hypothesis is going to be altered metabolism related to his diabetes. According to Healthy People 2020, D1 and D16, exercise, medication, diet, all are instrumental in keeping him within the range of where it needs to be. That's all I have. Appreciate it.